Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Preet Bharara, and I'm the U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of New York. Today we announce the arrest of Joseph Hunter, a man who served in the United States Army for nearly 20 years, a former sniper instructor, a former drill sergeant, and a man who, since leaving the military, has allegedly worked as a contract killer, arranging successfully for the murder of numerous people. Today we also announce the arrests of 4 other men, also former soldiers, a former U.S. Army soldier, Timothy Vamvakias, and 3 former European soldiers, each one a trained sniper. The bone-chilling allegations in today's indictment read like they were ripped from the pages of a Tom Clancy novel. The charges tell a tale of an international band of mercenary marksmen who enlisted their elite military training to serve as hired guns for evil ends. As alleged in the indictment unsealed today, the former soldiers were handpicked by Joseph Hunter to assist a purported Colombian drug trafficking organization. All 5 defendants allegedly worked to help import hundreds of kilograms of cocaine into the United States. And as alleged in the indictment, 3 of the former soldiers went one terrible step further. 3 of the defendants were ready, willing, and eager to take cold, hard cash to commit the cold-blooded murders of a DEA agent and an informant. As alleged, the 3 agreed to murder an agent of the Drug Enforcement Administration and to murder a person they thought was acting as an informant for that DEA agent, all at the behest of the purported drug trafficking organization, and all in exchange for a large payday, collectively about $800,000. As alleged, all 5 defendants put their military skills and training at the disposal of men they believe to be ruthless drug traffickers. Now, today's arrests are the culmination of a bold and brave global investigation conducted by some of the most extraordinary law enforcement agents in the world, the men and women of DEA's Special Operations Division. As I noted at the outset, and as today's indictment alleges, Joseph Hunter has successfully arranged for a number of murders for hire in the years since 2004, when he left the United States Army. As the investigation revealed, these were consummated, completed contract killings. And because it was clear that Hunter was a threat to the public and to public safety around the world, our partners at the Special Operations Division set out to stop him. And so here's what happened. The 2 planned contract murders, Joseph Hunter called them assassinations, were to be carried out in Liberia and to be quarterbacked by Hunter from Thailand. To get a little bit of an overview of the investigation and the case, if you look at the chart to my right here, you see the 5 individuals who are named in the indictment. Joseph Hunter, who also went by the alias Rambo, who was a sergeant first class in the U.S. Army and was a sniper instructor. Another American, Timothy Vamvakias, who I mentioned, also in the U.S. Army, a sergeant infantryman and a military police officer. 2 Americans involved in the case. Also Dennis Gogol from the German Armed Forces, also a trained sniper. The 3 of those men are the ones who were charged in the murder for hire scheme. In addition to those 3, 2 others made up the alleged security team for the purported narcotics trafficking organization from Colombia. Michael Filter from the German Armed Forces, also a sniper. Sławomir Saborski, a Polish a former army official, also a sniper. You'll see that Thailand is highlighted here because that's the place from which Mr. Hunter allegedly masterminded and quarterbacked the entire operation, and Liberia, which is where the assassinations of the DEA agent and the informant were supposed to take place. So a lot of action by a lot of people on a lot of continents. Just a couple more details and background about the case. During 2012, Joseph Hunter began collecting resumes by email for prospective members of a so-called security team, the people that are identified on the chart. The idea was for the security team of highly trained former soldiers, today's defendants, to be on call to do the difficult, dirty work of international drug dealers. The DEA, as set forth in the indictment, introduced 2 confidential sources to Hunter. These confidential sources wore recording devices and claimed to be Colombian cocaine traffickers. Hunter and his so-called security team leapt at the chance to serve the purported drug dealers. Among other things, the security team as described in the indictment, traveled to the Caribbean and conducted surveillance of a plane to make sure that law enforcement wasn't watching, and observed what they believed to be over 500 pounds of cocaine being loaded. But right from the outset, Joseph Hunter and his men were looking for more lucrative work. The recordings paint a chilling picture. Bonus work was Hunter's term, his euphemism for contract killings. Short range, close in, murders for hire. Here's how Hunter put it in private, speaking just to his men. Quote, "Most of the bonus work is up close, because in the cities, you don't get long-range shots." Close quote. The confidential sources went to Joseph Hunter, offering just such bonus work. They told him that their cocaine trafficking organization had been infiltrated, that a witness was supplying information to the DEA, and that the problem needed to be taken care of. As alleged, Joseph Hunter didn't flinch at the chance. He said that his men could, and I quote, "handle both jobs," close quote. They would murder the DEA agent, and they would murder the witness, too. From there, it was off to the races. The assassinations were to be done in Liberia, as I mentioned, by one of the former U.S. soldiers, Vakius, and by Dennis Gogol, a former German soldier, while Hunter was to run the operation from his base in Thailand, as I said. Hunter's men supplied 2 state-of-the-art masks to be used during the killings, latex masks that cover the face and the neck, and that can even allow a person to look like he is of a different race. They were to be armed to the teeth with rifles, pistols equipped with silencers, submachine guns. Why submachine gun? As one of the former U.S. soldiers explained it, and as set forth in the indictment, quote, "That will guarantee that whatever gets in that kill zone is going down," close quote. Former U.S. soldiers. The motive here was money. Greed, plain and simple. As alleged, Joseph Hunter had killed before for money, and he and his men wanted more of it. These are the motives of professional killers, of professional hitmen. But there was another motive also. One of the former German soldiers said that doing the killings would be, in his word, fun. He said, quote, "I love this work," close quote. Now, as you might imagine, and as is evidenced by today's announcement, the DEA had been very closely monitoring all of this. And when the 2 former soldiers actually flew earlier in recent days from Asia to Liberia to do the murders for which they were going to get paid, at that point the DEA had seen enough. The men were arrested, the 2 men, upon their arrival in Liberia, and are now in custody here in New York. Joseph Hunter was arrested back in Thailand, from where he was running the operation. He is en route to the United States to face justice in the Southern District of New York. The 2 remaining defendants, former Polish and German soldiers, are currently in custody in Estonia, and we will be seeking their extradition, also to face justice here in the Southern District. Now let me just end by thanking the people who made these arrests possible. I want to commend the Department of Justice's Office of International Affairs under the leadership of Molly Warlow. They have done extraordinary work in support of this global investigation, which is complicated, as you can see. In addition, I want to recognize the career prosecutors in my own office, of course, who have each worked so very hard and so well on this investigation. Michael Lockhart, Amy Hector, and Anna Skotko, led by their supervisors in the Terrorism and International Narcotics Trafficking Unit, Chiefs Michael Farbiars and Jocelyn Strauber. And now these prosecutors' job is to make sure that justice is done in our courts. Let me also take a moment to thank and recognize our partners on the law enforcement side, in this case and so many other cases, the Special Operations Division of the DEA. Their work here, as it often is, was absolutely incredible and effective. In an operation that spanned 4 continents, the Special Operations Division acted to end the career of a professional hitman who was planning to kill a federal law enforcement officer and a federal witness. And in the days and weeks to come, I know that we will be hearing a lot more about the extraordinary work that SOD has been doing around the world. And this case is a tribute to their leadership and their aggressiveness and their innovation. And heading it all up is our friend Derek Maltz, Special Agent in charge of the Special Operations Division, who I would like to call to the podium now.
Thank you, Preet. This international operation truly has all the elements of a blockbuster movie, like the U.S. Attorney said. Former U.S. and European soldiers with these sniper skills, contract killers hired to murder a DEA agent, asking to use silencers in these Hollywood-style masks to hide their identity. At the same time, they were hired by these Colombian drug traffickers to move lots of cocaine into the United States. Well, in fact, those cocaine traffickers were DEA confidential informants. They also wanted to provide the security team for all the safe passage of the drugs that were coming into the country. Their unique skills and military background helped them operate around the world. As much as this indictment reads like the script of a movie, it's real. It happened. The fact is, these are ruthless criminals around the world. They operate, and they're trying to kill people. However, thanks to the work of some extraordinary, brave, talented DEA agents and foreign counterparts, they are now coming to face justice in the United States. They're not going to be able to spread their drugs and their death around the world. This is not the first time, nor the last, that DEA has confronted sophisticated criminals such as these, and we won. As part of this global, complex operation, we add these killers to those whose careers we have brought to an end with our partners here in the Southern District of New York. This fight against drugs, narco-terrorism, and international organized crime is our top priority. To roll out their scheme, these professional killers develop plans to use automatic weapons, silencers, masks, detailed escape routes, and cover stories to make their murders look like random violence on the streets. Their plan was anything but random. It was well thought out, it was sophisticated, it was well coordinated, and it was cold-blooded. It was one of those that was indicted, as the U.S. Attorney already said, actually thought this was fun. He was going to have fun. However, as well planned out as their scheme was, they were no match for the DEA and our foreign counterparts, who determined to outwit them, outwork them, outsmart them, and put them out of business. These alleged murderers were also part of other conspiracies, a conspiracy to transport and sell drugs in massive quantities in the United States. But they wanted as much bonus work as possible. As the U.S. Attorney cited, assassinations, cold-blooded killings. And they wanted a big payday in the six figures. One of the targets, as was already stated, was asked, he could handle it, he said. He was asked if he could murder a DEA agent. He could handle it. Well, now I ask him, after planning this murder of one of my agents, can he handle the prospect of facing justice in the United States? They wanted MP7s, like the U.S. Attorney said, to make sure that the work was done. An elaborate threat against a law enforcement officer by ruthless criminals is something we take very seriously and aggressively pursue around the globe. The success of this case illustrates the global capabilities that we have in the DEA to work with our partners very closely, coordinated with all elements of the U.S. government to make sure that justice is served. I want to thank again the U.S. Attorney's Office here in the Southern District of New York, because every one of these cases around the world to target these international organized crime cases, they have stepped up 100% of the time, and they've helped us ensure that not only are they arrested, but they are brought to justice in a fair process, and that's how we've been working with the U.S. Attorney's Office here, and we thank them for that.
Thanks, Derek. Happy to take your questions. Yeah.
This was obviously an undercover operation, but how did you decide to target Hunter and his group? How did he come onto your radar?
Yeah, we can't go outside what's in the indictment. All I can say is in connection, and Derek can add to this if he wants, in connection with another DEA investigation, it came to Special Operation Division's knowledge that there was a person like this out there who had apparently engaged in this kind of activity, and they, to their credit, decided they need to do something to incapacitate him. Ben.
Can you tell us, so the two real estate agent victims cited in the indictment are not the only people he is known to have killed? Could you talk about multiple
Yeah, I don't believe the, I think that's correct, yes.
So when you say multiple, you mean more than just those two?
Correct.
Wait, actually, about the real estate agents, are we sure that that happened?
There's corroboration for the allegations in the indictment, yes.
Can you tell us more about his career in the military, 20 years?
Not beyond what's in the indictment. Yeah.
Are you saying that they went to Liberia, they were going to wear masks that would make them look like they were a different race?
I'm not, I think the masks were of a type that could make one look like they were of a different race. And the plan was to go to Liberia and wear the masks so they wouldn't be able to be identified after the fact. And also, if you read, I did mention this in my remarks, if you read the allegations in the indictment, they had a fairly elaborate plan as to how they would get out of the country. As one person, I think, says in a recorded conversation, you know, and I'm paraphrasing here, the hit is easy. Extracting yourself out of the country after doing the hit is what's hard.
Was
Yeah.
the transport of the drugs all part of the setup for these guys, or was that legitimate Colombian dealers?
That was part of the sting also. Yeah. John?
Which of the former German soldiers said Amlugius were?
I don't. I forget which one. I believe it was. I believe it was Gogol. Is that right? Yeah.
And I'm sorry, and Gogol and Van Bacchius were both arrested in Liberia,
Correct.
and Van Bacchius is being extradited to the U.S. to here to New York?
Now, Van Bacchius and Gogol have arrived here from Liberia, and the other two were arrested in Estonia, and we're going to begin extradition proceedings against them. And Mr. Hunter is arriving sometime in the next number of hours and should be presented in court tomorrow.
Saturday. The other two won't be presented today.
The other two were presented yesterday.
They were given.
Yes. Jonathan?
So do you think it's likely that you'll charge Mr. Hunter with any of the crimes that brought him to the DEA's attention in the first place?
The investigation is ongoing. I don't know that that necessarily will happen. I can say that as described in the indictment, the other killings happened in other countries. So it may not be something that clearly can be charged in the United States. Jonathan?
Can you provide us with some detail as to which countries, how many killings, you have corroboration for? It's important information regarding your alleged past acts.
It is, but it's also an ongoing investigation. And what I'll say in connection with that is DEA and others are working with law enforcement partners around the world and in a number of different countries to make sure that any investigations of completed, as I said, consummated contract murders are investigated fully and everyone is held to account for them. But I can't give details beyond what's already in the indictment. It's a pretty fulsome indictment on that count, actually.
The real estate agent case is at least mentioned and some details in the indictment.
Yes.
Why not provide details as to where, how, when?
No.
But that was not U.S., you're saying?
Correct.
Were they drug related?
I can't remember if the indictment indicates that or not. It does not.
Just for clarity,
Yeah.
I mean, the real estate agent deaths, you say were not in the U.S. or were they?
We're not in the U.S.
Can you say which country?
I believe we do say this, but we don't say in the indictment. I have knowledge beyond the indictment. I always forget sometimes what I can say and what I can't.
Were the masks intended to make them look like Liberian or African, and they were not of that extraction? Can you just explain that again?
Yeah, I can't go beyond what's in the indictment, but in your search for color, I appreciate wanting to know that. I can't answer that. Yeah.
Can you just review where everyone was arrested and where they are now?
Yes, Mr. Hunter was arrested in Thailand and was expelled from Thailand, and he is en route to the Southern District of New York and should be presented, as I said, tomorrow in district court. The next two individuals on the indictment caption, Mr. Van Bacchius and Mr. Gogol, were taken into custody in Liberia and were expelled and were presented yesterday in district court. And the last two, Mr. Filter and Mr. Saborski, are in custody in Estonia, and we will go through the extradition process to get them here to face justice here. Excuse me?
What were they doing in Estonia?
It was, as alleged in the indictment, it was part of others. Why don't you answer the question?
They were headed to Estonia to provide other services for the Colombian drug cartel.
Where are Mr. Hunter and Mr. Van Bacchus from? You know where they were born?
I don't know that no, I don't think we indicate where they're born and where they're from.
Can you?
If that information is publicly available, I don't know that it is, you can contact the press office afterwards.
In terms
Yep.
of Hunter's legitimate Army experience, did he have any sniper kills in tactical situations?
I don't know the answer to that question. Okay, thanks, everybody.